Hello and welcome to episode 438 of the official EstablishTheRun.com podcast. My name is Adam Levitan, as always, joined by Evan Silva. And week one is behind us. I think we learned more on Sunday than we learned in an entire offseason. So much important stuff to get to. Evan, how's it going?
It's going good. Big first week in the books. A lot of information to get to, a lot of takeaways. Got a bunch of stuff right, got a bunch of stuff wrong.
Yep.
And that's how it's going to go. But we'll just keep trying to get better.
On today's show, we're going to go team by team through each NFC squad, talking through everything we saw and what it means. Before we get into it, have to remind you, DFS season, aka the best season, is here. This is when it really matters to have reliable data and analysis. I've been saying it all summer, but no one takes projecting how football players perform on Sundays more seriously than us. We've also have ownership projections, Silva's matchups column, showdown analysis, really everything that we think you need to win. Annual, weekly, and monthly options are available on the site. Also, this podcast is brought to you by our friends at Underdog Fantasy. They have this ridiculous pickup game going on right now. You can basically, it's a different way to bet props, essentially. And so we have a table up in our in-season package on Saturdays. We release our projections into that table so you can compare and contrast. Use promo code ETR when you sign up for Underdog, and they will match your first deposit up to $100. Promo code ETR at Underdog Fantasy. All right, Evan, let's start with the Arizona Cardinals. So no Rondale Moore in this game, no DeAndre Hopkins, of course. Zach Ertz has this calf issue, but Trey McBride was still a healthy scratch. I thought that was at least notable. Ertz ended up running 29 routes on 37. Kyler dropbacks, encouraging for his health going forward. The other thing that I saw was, I had my doubts whether Marquise Brown can actually be a load-bearing wideout. In other words, yeah, they desperately need him, but is he the kind of guy you can actually throw the ball at successfully 10, 12, 14 times in a game? The way that it ended up going was the offense just completely sucked. And, maybe we should have expected that with a Flake Sharp, Cliff Kingsbury in there. What did you think of the Cardinals' performance against the Chiefs?
I think that there's a good chance that the Cardinals are just not very good. We were kind of lucky to backdoor some late touchdowns in the game. Marquise Brown, Ertz, you got away with a highly inefficient game, but he did score a touchdown. Kyler did not play well. The offensive line isn't very good. The defense is trash. I mean, they just don't have a lot of talent, and they're already injured. J.J. Watt didn't play. Rondale Moore was replaced by Greg Dortch. I think it was notable that James Conner, and actually I didn't look at his specific usage stats yet, but from watching the game, it looked like James Conner was a true every down back until late in the game, and then Eno Benjamin kind of came in garbage time.
Yeah, and that was the case. And they play at Las Vegas in week 2. It's just I don't have a lot of faith in the scheme, but it does set up for some shootout potential games if Kyler can overcome the mess that is the fake sharp cliff. Let's go to Atlanta. Cordell Patterson went off on his 49 snaps. I mean, he handled 22 of 26 running back carries. He ran 21 routes on 37 dropbacks. But I think there's a case to sell high on Cordell Patterson. I mean, Tyler Algier was a healthy scratch. Damian Williams left after, I think, 2 snaps with a rib issue. Falcons had the lead for much of this game. That's not going to be happening a ton. And so, I like CPAT. We were way higher than market on CPAT. I think a lot of best ball people that were using our rankings got CPAT, which I think is really good where he was going. But he's not going to sustain this kind of usage and this kind of production. And the other thought that I had was on Kyle Pitts, man. I mean, it was fine for Kyle Pitts, 21% target share. But God, 219-0 result. He pass blocked more than I would have liked to see. And they're still not getting him in the right matchups. So it's a bit scary on Kyle Pitts. What do you think about him? Anything else on the Falcons?
Oh, I think that Kyle Pitts is going to be fine. I know that the result was not what I expected, not what anybody expected, but I was looking at his specific usage data, and I think that he's going to be matched up on linebacker and safeties a lot more this year than he was last season when he ran a lot of routes against cornerbacks. I was impressed with Drake London. He was a full-time player. He was out there. He was the clear number one wide receiver that everyone expected him to be. I thought it was actually a very promising effort from the Falcons from the standpoint of Arthur Smith, who disappointed at times last year. 50% play action rate. They were good. They were efficient, both not super efficient from a passing standpoint, but they were efficient on the ground. They used Mariota a ton as a runner.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and they gave the Saints a serious run in this game. And I think that the Saints are a much more talented team than are the Falcons. So, yeah, I mean, Cordell Patterson is not going to get that 25 touch workload on a consistent basis, but Damian Williams probably going to miss some time with this rib injury. They didn't trust Tyler Algier enough to even make him active in week 1. And Avery Williams, who wound up playing the backup role after Damian Williams, he's a converted cornerback.
Yeah.
So I mean, CPAT's going to be getting the ball a lot, though.
Yeah. And CPAT's clearly very good at football. Like, there's just, I mean, he's legit good. Falcons play at the Rams this week. Obviously, a tough spot. Rams are off a loss and on a long week, so tough spot there for the Falcons. But yeah, they should have won the game. I mean, they outplayed the Saints. They 100% should have won the game. Mariota fumble, I think, hurt a lot. Let's go to Carolina. So the good news, Evan, is that Christian McCaffrey did not get hurt. I know that's what everybody was waiting for and everybody expected. He did not get hurt. However, Matt Rule is a mess, man. I mean, he keeps going back and forth whether he wants to run the ball or throw the ball a lot. He comes out throwing in this game, which I think is right. Baker was not looking at CMC a lot in the first half. He seemed to look for him more in the second half, but only 10 carries for Christian McCaffrey and a 15% target share. I'm not panicking. He did play 81% of the snaps. I think it will likely be fine, but we need to get those target shares up a little bit more, and we need the Panthers to play better if he's going to outscore JT. So what do you think of Christian McCaffrey and anything else on the Panthers?
We need the Panthers to figure out a way to control the ball a little bit more, because I think they had 53 offensive plays in this game. So that's going to drag down everybody. They were able to hit the long one to Robbie Anderson, who I had no idea what to expect from Robbie Anderson this year, but he got out to a pretty nice start. 8 targets, 5 for 102 and a touchdown. DJ Moore, not as promising, but again, when you don't have offensive play volume, guys are going to have duds. And that's what happened with DJ Moore. To an extent, that's what happened with Christian McCaffrey. It was interesting that Matt Rule came out after the game, and he's essentially said that his offensive philosophy has changed.
Right.
Because he's been a run the ball coach to this point. And then he was explaining that he thought, now he says that to be successful, the sustainably successful teams in the league pass the ball first as their main. So I don't know. Did someone show him some analytics during the offseason? Did David Tepper be like, hey, listen, we're going to play this way or else you're not going to be the coach anymore? Like something like that must have happened.
Yeah. And I don't know what happened, but it's good for DJ Moore, who I have no concerns about whatsoever. Right. I think DJ Moore is going to find better matchups, and they'll have games where they run far more plays. And it's good for Christian McCaffrey too. I think throw rate at Christian McCaffrey, I know people are saying, oh, Baker doesn't want to throw at Christian McCaffrey as much as other Panthers quarterbacks did. I mean, Cam Newton never threw at running backs at Christian McCaffrey either. And so I think it's going to be fine there. It's going to be fine on DJ Moore. On Robbie, the Panthers did not even give a route to Terrace Marshall. They didn't even give a route to Rashard Higgins. Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore were out there for every single route, and Shi Smith was a number 3. Robbie's role looks solid. I was worried he was going to rotate through. I mean, he looks solid. Let's go to Chicago. So, one of the reasons that we were out, or we've been out on David Montgomery, I mean, a lot of them, but we were worried that Khalil Herbert was going to eat into the workload of David Montgomery on top of all the other problems you have with David Montgomery and his skill set and the way Chicago plays. And that's what happened. It was 2 series on for David Montgomery, 1 series for Khalil Herbert. That's not obviously great for David Montgomery. What is good is I thought Justin Fields in, not the best spot, tough matchup, offensive line, defensive line, total mismatch. The field is in puddles. I thought Justin Fields actually played reasonably well, and that's encouraging from that standpoint for the Bears. What do you think of their shocking to some, not to all, shocking to some win over the 49ers?
Yeah, I'm going to have to bend the knee and capitulate because I wasn't giving the Bears a chance, and you called it. So nice call. I had a buddy who bet on him. He's just a Bears fan. Got him at like 7-1. So he was like all pumped about it. In the first half, the protection problems were glaring for Justin Fields. But I really like some of the second half play calling from Luke Getsy. They used a lot of play action. They ran Justin Fields aggressively. And, they got the ball out of his hands quickly. Like, they made some great second half adjustments in what was a monsoon. Yes, my basement did get a bunch of water in it.
Oh no!
But I'm managing it. I got the the vacuum, the vac.
The wet vac, yeah.
Yeah, putting down the towels. Got the dehumidifier, pulling the air out of the water particles out of the air. So
did you set that stuff up, or did your neighbors? Did your kids' neighbors?
You guys are just, you're going overboard now. Okay. No, but I mean, the weather was. I mean, if anybody saw that was unbelievable. It wasn't supposed to be that bad.
Yeah.
It was not supposed to be that bad, and it was supposed to kind of stop during the game, but it kept getting worse.
Yeah.
So I think it was almost a little bit of a throwaway game. We'll get to the San Francisco half of this later, but I think it was almost a throwaway game for a lot of the dudes. Khalil Herbert significantly outplayed David Montgomery and vultured him at the goal line. I mean, I don't think it's crazy to think that Khalil Herbert could be better than David Montgomery. These guys are all real close.
Yeah. Well, at a minimum, we know for now it's going to be about 66% Demont and 33% Khalil Herbert at a minimum for now. Let's go to Dallas. Obviously, one of the worst possible starts for Dallas. I mean, they were completely inept while Dak was out there, and then Dak hits his hand on somebody else's hand, and now he's going to be out. Well, they don't know. 4, 3, 6, 8 weeks. I've seen reports all over the place, but Dak is going to miss some time. Cooper Rush is the backup. Evan, why don't you tell the people what we know about Cooper Rush and what you think now about CeeDee Lamb and any of the other Cowboys going forward without Dak?
Yeah, I mean, it's just Cooper Rush has been around for a while, and he's just not, he's just like a clear-cut backup. I think you'd want him rather to be your number 3, really, than your number 2. It just feels like the Cowboys season is already circling the drain. It feels like their season is already over. Not only did they lose Dak for what it sounds like it's going to be half the season. I know that Jerry Jones came out and gave an optimistic timeline, as he always does. But, I trust like Schefter here. And last night on Monday Night Countdown, he was saying closer to 8 weeks than 6 for Dak Prescott. And I don't know, would they go out and try to get Jimmy Garoppolo? I mean, there's been some buzz on that. I think it seems unlikely to me. And they're going to hope that Dak just comes back earlier. They also lost their left guard, Connor McGovern. They had already lost, obviously, their left tackle, Tyron Smith. I mean, they don't have a lot of talent right now. Yeah. They were the number 1 offense in the NFL last year. And, I mean, they're at risk, I think, of finishing bottom 5 this year.
It's really bad, really bad. And this was my concern with the Zeke stuff. Like the wheels
Zeke
can just
look good. I mean, I thought Zeke looked good in the game,
and
Tony Pollard did not.
Right, and I was just going to say that the good news for Zeke is that Tony Pollard had one of his worst possible games. I mean, not only did they not split him slot or wide, we were bamboozled again. He had 6 snaps slot or wide, but he got absolutely embarrassed in pass protection on national television. I mean, absolutely embarrassed, and obviously that's where Zeke is very, very good. So in that sense, it's good for Zeke. I just think Zeke needs touchdowns to get there, and this team's not going to score touchdowns.
Nope. No, I mean, I'm already capitulating and bending the knee on Zeke Elliott. That's for sure. And I'm worried about CeeDee Lamb too.
Yeah.
Actually, Cooper Rush, I think he made 1 start last year, and CeeDee Lamb actually had a good game.
Yeah.
But still, CeeDee Lamb, they're not going to score touchdowns.
Yeah, I think they'll be losing a lot, but the problem is they'll try to play slow. They'll try to play run heavy to stay in games. I think CD can be okay, but obviously I would not take CeeDee Lamb right now. Early second round, mid second round, stuff like that. By the way, our rest of season top 150 will be out tomorrow, Wednesday. For those guys who have in-season or Draft Kit Pro, you'll be able to see our rest of season top 150 and how we adjust for injuries such as the Dak Prescott thing and how it affects CD and all the other guys.
Yeah, I was watching that Cowboys game and I was like, who the hell is Dennis Houston?
Yeah.
Like this guy's out here, he gets 5 targets. Their
Yeah.
receiver core is so bad, dude. It's even, I mean, it's horrible.
We talked about Jalen Tolbert, and I had mentioned a bunch on the Market
Yeah.
Mondays that he was just going way, way, way too high. I mean, not as egregious as Isaiah Pacheco when he was going like the 7th round, but the Jalen Tolbert stuff got completely out of control. Anyways, Detroit, our Lions, DeAndre Swift outsnaps Jamal Williams 46-22. DeAndre Swift plays on 12 of 12 third downs. The only knock, and he was electric. I mean, we know how good DeAndre Swift is. He's awesome. Offensive line looked great. The problem, of course, 4 of 5 goal line carries go to Jamal Williams, and he converted. So I feel like that's just going to be the story, but doesn't mean DeAndre Swift can't have a huge, huge season. I have so much DeAndre Swift from the late first round, early second round. Really happy about that. Obviously, goal line stuff sucks, but kind of is what it is. And the other thing, I mean, Amon-Ra, everybody who listened knew how excited I was for Amon-Ra this year, despite Hockenson coming back, despite Swift coming back, but despite the addition of DJ Chark. Amon-Ra, once again, 8 catches, over 10 targets for his 7th straight game. I mean, he had a 32% target share, even with Hockenson and Swift and Chark out there. So really good sign for the Sun God. Evan, what do you think about the Jamal Williams goal line stuff and anything else on the Lions?
Yeah, I mean, it just is what it is with the Jamal Williams stuff. Like, he's going to get playing time. The coaching staff loves him. They trust him. He's never been a fumbler, and he's always been good in pass protection. So he's going to have a role in the backfield consistently where he gets like double-digit touchdowns, or he averages double-digit touches. Sorry, not touchdowns. DeAndre Swift, I remember when I moved him behind Derrick Henry sort of like early in the offseason in the top 150. And I was like, God, this seems like a big move. And now after one game and training camp and all the analysis that we've done, it's like, that just feels so super obvious now at this point.
My thing on the Lions is it went as expected with the way games are going to go. Their offense is good. Their offensive line is awesome. Their offense is legit good. And their defense is absolutely atrocious. We're going to get these kind of crazy shootout games with the Lions all the time. They play the Washington football team, aka the Commanders, next at home, and like that's another spot that could easily be a wild shootout. Evan was on the over in Lions Eagles, and like
I think that like hit at the halftime or something.
Yeah, I mean,
that. It was awesome.
The way the Lions are set up, there's gonna be so many shootouts. We just did the awards show with Ryan and Gary. You guys can check that out on YouTube. We were talking about some of the Lions stuff for Coach of the Year and stuff like that, and it's just it's going to be like this all year. I mean, it's hard to win awards when your defense is going to be one of the worst in the league, but the offense is really going to be good. I'm confident in that.
Yeah, and hopefully they can get over this hump where they just can't win any close games at all. I did want to note they were without Vaitai, their right tackle in this game, and they still did a great job protecting Jared Goff, who dropped back to pass 38 times, only 1 sack and 6 quarterback hits. I mean, they have a really good offensive line.
And by the way, I was also encouraged by the DJ Chark stuff. Obviously, got on him as a late flyer towards the end of August, and I think that's going to be a good one, just with the way that they play. Everybody's going to be good with the way that they play. Anyways, Packers. So I think the Packers, I know everybody's saying it now, but like Packers could be bad, man. I mean, their wide receiver core is so bad. They didn't have David Bakhtiari. They didn't have Elton Jenkins. Yeah, they'll be better when they get them back. How much of a difference will that make? I don't know. They could be bad. The big story, of course, for fantasy was AJ Dillon out carrying Aaron Jones 10-5. AJ Dillon also out targeted Aaron Jones 6-5. Aaron Jones did play 6 more snaps. That was 37-31. But yeah, I think 50-50 is what I expect going forward between Dillon and Jones, period. And like, just like with Tony Pollard, all this rhetoric about them being on the field together, about Aaron Jones splitting out wide, it just never comes to fruition. And so I was frustrated with myself for playing Aaron Jones over Mixon. I played Aaron Jones over DeAndre Swift, and that was, in hindsight, obviously really, really bad. What do you think about Aaron Jones, Dillon stuff going forward, and anything else with the Packers?
Yeah, I mean, Matt LaFleur came out after the game, and he was like, we have to get the ball to Aaron Jones more. So I think that there's some sneaky wheel there. AJ Dillon, like, I really like AJ Dillon. We like him as a guy. Remember, we did that show with him. He's super cool, right?
Yeah.
He's not explosive. Like, he's a good back. He's not explosive. Aaron Jones is really explosive. They've got to get him the ball more. That's ridiculous. 8 touches.
Yeah.
No, that's not winning football. The story to me in this game was Aaron Rodgers' body language. He was so pissed at Christian Watson for dropping the long touchdown. I think it was the first play of the game.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh my God. And he immediately looks over at the sideline like, I fucking told you so. And then Christian Watson's body language for the rest of the game, he was checked out. It's like walking around holding his head down. Rodgers is on the sideline. He's like, no, I'm not looking at the film. I'm not looking at the tablet. He's just and he got pissed at Dubs too. I think Dubs ran some wrong routes, missed a critical block. Aaron Rodgers, he's not going to put up with that. Christian Watson did wind up, I think, running the most routes out of all. Yeah. But I mean, the trust issue is going to be big for those guys. And Aaron Rodgers just kind of checked out in this game. Yeah. It's just, but you harken back. Remember last year they got they got just eviscerated by the Saints in week 1. I still think the Packers are going to be good, but clearly they need to work on their passing game. I mean, they need to figure out who they're going to play and who they're going to feature.
Yeah. Last year they also had Devontae Adams. I mean, and I get that they're going to get Allen Lazard back. I mean, that's not the same. And we'll see. David Bakhtiari feels to me like he may never be healthy again. So it's I think they could legit have the wheels fall off. One sneaky note I wanted to mention, Big Bob Tonyan, Robert Tonyan, coming off the ACL, he did play, but he was eased in only 39% of the snaps. When Robert Tonyan was out there, Aaron Rodgers was locked onto him. Aaron Rodgers loves throwing at Big Bob Tonyan. So only played 39% of the snaps, only ran 18 routes, but Robert Tonyan saw 5 targets. And so I think that's just something to watch. If he can start playing 100% of the snaps, Big Bob Tonyan could actually be a featured player for the Packers.
Yeah, maybe if you need a tight end, maybe a guy to look at in season long leagues via trade.
100% waivers or trade for sure. Rams. So the big story was the Cam Akers stuff. I think Cam Akers actually was going to be the number 3 behind Darrell Henderson and behind Kieran Williams. Kieran Williams hurt his ankle in the opening kickoff. Cam Akers still only plays 12 snaps. Darrell Henderson played 55 snaps. If Darrell Henderson was not picked in your league, he is the number 1 pickup. The zero RB team that we drafted in the FFPC main event stream that everybody watched on YouTube and everybody made fun of us for having the worst running backs in the league. We're starting Darrell Henderson, who's now a starting running back on a really good team. And we're starting Naheem Hines, who is going to get you 10 points every week in full PPR. And so I actually like that team. I know people made fun of it at the time. This is what happens at the running back position. Cam Akers is just total dust. You had a good call on him on the Fades podcast that we did. I wasn't taking any Cam Akers, and I think it kind of played out even more extreme than we could have even imagined. What do you think about that? Anything else on the Rams?
Yeah, I know going back to last year, ever since his return, Cam Akers, he's under 3 yards per carry.
Yeah.
And he also blew some pass protection assignments in this game. One that led to a big sack of Stafford on his limited snaps. He's only out there on 12 snaps, as you mentioned, and he's still making mistakes and has no production. And after the game, Sean McVay was asked, what's up with Cam Akers? He was like, he's got a lot of work to do. He's behind. I mean, Darrell Henderson has a chance to be an every down back in week 2 against Atlanta.
Yeah. Oh, baby. I love that zero RBG team that we have. A lot of people ask about Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson did run 49 routes on 51 dropbacks, but he did a lot of wind sprinting. He was clearly not any type of featured player. They continue to feature Cooper Kupp in the same way that, honestly, we'll get to Justin Jefferson, who was featured in kind of a similar way, all over the field, moving, scheming like that. What are your outlooks on Allen Robinson going forward?
Well, shout out to Matthew Friedman, who had a super hot take, and he caught a bunch of crap about it, and I even gave him crap about it, that Julio Jones is going to outscore Allen Robinson this year, and Matt Friedman, after 1 week, is out in front on that one. Yep. So shout out to him.
And Chris Godwin's hurt.
Yes, and oh God, we'll get to that. All right. Anyways, Allen Robinson, I think, is going to be all right, though. I really do. Matthew Stafford explained that. Well, you see, the Bills were, they were without Tre'Davious White, and they're starting a bunch of rookies in the secondary. So they played just zone cover 2 for like every single snap. And what wound up happening is all the balls and the Rams couldn't pass protect. So all the balls wound up going into the middle of the field to Cooper Kupp and Tyler Higbee, who had 11 targets, which I believe is the second or third most of his entire career. And the ball didn't go to the perimeter.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, there were a bunch of plays where Allen Robinson was open. But Matthew Stafford just kind of stopped looking at him because he was looking at the rush and he was looking at the middle of the field. And Allen Robinson was essentially double teamed because it was a rookie corner and then a safety over the top. So the way that game went and the dominance of the Bills pass rush, they just blew up the Rams offense. I mean, there weren't many guys who really played well in the Rams offense aside from Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
The Bills front just blew it up. And, when that happens, when you have extreme offensive dysfunction, you're not going to be able to accomplish a lot of the things that you want to accomplish.
Yep. And obviously much cleaner matchup this week against the Falcons, although I do think the Falcons have some serious talent in their secondary. But, obviously it's going to be a different kind of game than it was against the Bills. Let's get to Minnesota. I mean, you couldn't have asked for a more encouraging start for Justin Jefferson. Half his yards came out of the slot. He was in pre-snap motion 7 times, and he got targeted on 4 of those pre-snap motions, including that touchdown. That's what I was talking about with the Cooper Kupp stuff, like literally like scheming him the ball, pre-snap motion, getting the ball around the goal line. That's kind of stuff they were doing for Cooper Kupp last year and still doing. Kevin O'Connell is doing it for Justin Jefferson now. He's obviously going to have a completely outrageous year. I don't know what the Packers were doing. They didn't use Jair Alexander in shadow. They didn't do anything to prepare, it seemed, for Justin Jefferson. But anyways, Irv Smith was disappointing, but he was limited off the finger. That was apparently the plan coming in. He only ran 15 routes on 33 Kirk Cousins dropbacks. I think that we'll see that number rise swiftly. But before I play him, I want to see it on Irv Smith. He just said he missed so much time in camp that they were going to limit him. Anyways, what do you think of the Vikings' impressive win over the Packers?
Yeah, Justin Jefferson, that opening drive against Green Bay was like one of the most dominant things that happened on Sunday. I mean, Justin Jefferson is just an absolute beast, and he's going to have a monster year. I wound up with Kupp, one spot ahead of him. I don't know if I'd go back and change that. I think it's really close still, but they're neck and neck, man. I mean, Justin Jefferson
for sure.
is so good, dude. And the way that they're using him, the Vikings offensively, they deserve a lot of credit for that. I mean, I'm not just going to put that all on the Packers defense. Like the way that the Vikings get him moving around and get him free releases off the line of scrimmage and send him right into gaps in the defense, and the way that he wins contested. He's quick, he's an incredible route runner. He's so good.
He really is so good. And disappointing game for Adam Thielen, but then again, Kirk Cousins only attempted 32 passes, Adam Thielen 4 targets, 336, 0. I still think he'll be, kind of a red zone and just kind of the possession veteran guy behind Justin Jefferson, clearly. And there's some value in that in games where Kirk Cousins is forced to throw the ball a lot more, clearly. Let's get to New Orleans. So Alvin Kamara had a bit of a rib issue. It doesn't sound serious at all. It sounds super minor. But it was concerning, man. I mean, he stayed into block on pass plays 11 times. Never before had he had more than 7 pass blocks in an entire game. And also all the stuff we talked about in the preseason, Jameis's throw rate at running back is just not going to be the same. And nobody expected 80 catches for Alvin Kamara, but even 60, I feel like, is in question now. Maybe that's an overreaction due to the rib stuff. His usage looked really, really bad. So first I want to ask what you think about Kamara, and then I'll go ahead on the Michael Thomas stuff.
I'm just not overreacting to it. I'm just, he had the rib issue.
They did.
I think that's kind of it.
Taysom had a couple carries around the goal line, which didn't help. Mark Ingram played a bunch. He stayed into block on pass plays. So I hear you. I'm not overreacting either, but for sure right now, I'd rather have Swift, Barkley,
definitely
Mixon, those types that were going kind of around Kamara at the end.
Yeah, I mean, I think Kamara's going to be fine.
Okay. Michael Thomas. So I have this Michael Thomas fade on, and it was looking really good. I mean, he was looking really, really dusty. He had one catch for 4 yards, I think pretty deep in the third quarter. They start going into comeback mode, and Michael Thomas looks like he's completely balling. He did run 35 routes on 40 Jameis dropbacks. He did get a 23% target share, 557.2 result. I still feel okay about the fade. Clearly, Michael Thomas can play, and clearly, Jameis Winston is going to be aggressive throwing the ball. And, that's going to be good for Michael Thomas. Less throws at running backs, more throws at wide receivers, going to be good for Michael Thomas. So I feel okay. I'm not ready to completely give up and say I was wrong on the Michael Thomas fade yet, but I'm open to being wrong based on week one. What did you see out of the pass game?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see Jarvis Landry running deep routes. I thought that Chris Olave might have a chance at a big game here, but it wound up being Jarvis Landry, who actually beat AJ Terrell a couple of times pretty badly. That's never been Jarvis Landry's game. That was just kind of strange and maybe a blip. I don't know. We'll have to see. Olave's game was a lot quieter, 2 for 43. Juwan Johnson played a ton in passing situations, and it looks like he is the Saints' pass-catching tight end. Adam Troutman has kind of been resigned to a blocking role, and Taysom Hill is just Taysom. Nothing's changed with Taysom Hill, and Pete Carmel kind of told us that, or it was Dennis Allen who said it, that Taysom Hill is going to be used the same. Yeah, he's technically a tight end on the roster, but he's really, nothing's really changed with Taysom Hill. He's a gadget player.
He's a slash. And honestly, like if you're scraping a tight end, there's a lot of leagues out there you can play Taysom at tight end. It's probably better than some of these like total dust balls. And like the where Taysom was a tight end in best ball, like on underdog, I think it's going to prove to be pretty sharp 17th, 18th round pick on Taysom at tight end, just because the tight end position is so bad. And then you get the upside, obviously, if he ends up starting any games at quarterback. Giants come back and win this game in crazy fashion. Daboll goes for 2 points instead of kicking an extra point to tie the game. And Saquon like wills it in. I mean, the play was stuffed in the backfield. And Saquon did what he was doing all game, which was looking like the best running back in the NFL, or one of the best running backs in the NFL. Just ridiculous in rushing yards over expectation. He handled 78% of the running back carries. He led the team in targets. And then, maybe it shouldn't be that surprising that he led the team in targets considering what's going on at wide receiver. Kenny Galladay is a corpse. They won't play Kadarius Toney, which we can get to in a second. Wan'Dale Robinson hurt his knee on the fourth route that he ran. So you had like Richie James, Sterling Shepard off the Achilles, David Sills in there rotating. I mean, it's Saquon's going to have a massive role all year. I don't think that you can deny that he's a clear first-round pick, and we'll probably have him in the top 10, top 8 when our rest of season top 150 comes out Wednesday. What do you think of Saquon? And then I want to get to the Kadarius Toney stuff.
Yeah, he might belong in the top 5.
Yeah.
The only thing holding him back, and it's funny, like I put like just all the stuff, that all the stuff that Jordan told me just into the article. That just was my write-up for the Giants. Yeah. And then like it got passed around Giants Twitter, and like they were all pissed at me and shit. And they started this like Reddit thread about it, and they were just calling me a total fucking idiot, and everything was right.
Yeah,
like literally everything was right.
Yeah.
We're not here. We're out here trying to help people, and the shit's like behind a paywall too. Like it's for our subscribers to try to help them to get like an advantage on the competition. These asshole fans jump in here.
Right.
God, what a bunch of losers.
It's NFL fans. It's not fantasy people. It's NFL fans. There's a big difference once the fans pick it up. And yeah, you say something negative about somebody who wears their laundry,
right,
and they go nuts. But it was totally true on Kadarius Toney. He ran 4 routes on a day that they didn't have Wan'Dale Robinson. Kenny Galladay can't get open. He ran 4 routes. I mean, clearly there's something going on here.
Yeah, that information is not for those fucking fan dorks, okay? That information is for our subscribers to try to help them. And I think people probably did benefit from that.
Oh, I was thinking about playing Kadarius Toney in cash until I read matchups. I mean, period. So, yeah.
Anyways, but one of the things was that Saquon looks awesome, and that the only obstacle is, can he stay healthy? And, the passing offense going to funnel through him. He looked... As a runner, this was one of the best games I've ever seen him play because he was so decisive between the tackles, and he isn't always that. He's long been a boom bust runner, and he did have a monster 68-yarder here. but I mean, he was consistent as a runner. I mean, he looks like he's, this could be like the best season of his career. I mean, he looks awesome.
Yeah, I
And
feel
the
like
run blocking was great too. And that was another thing that Jordan said. I can't remember if I put that in the article. I don't think I did, but he noted that Andrew Thomas and Evan Neal, they may have issues in pass protection. They can kick ass as run blockers.
Yeah, the offensive line has undoubtedly improved. They've invested so much draft capital into it. When Kadarius Toney was out there, he was like the most explosive player in their offense besides Barkley. I mean, he was making dudes miss all over the field. So for him to only run 4 routes, there's obviously something more going on here. But as I see it on Kadarius Toney, I'm not playing it. And honestly, like if you want to drop him and you're in a shallower format, I wouldn't drop him in a deeper format. In a shallower format, I don't think it's like the worst thing in the world to drop Toney. I mean, it sounds crazy because they have like nothing, but they clearly don't like him whatsoever. Wandale's knee injury.
I wouldn't drop him. I would hang on.
I don't want to either, but some people are in these leagues with like 6 bench spots, and like if you can get Jeff Wilson or something off waivers, we'll get to. But yeah. But we'll talk about that in a second. Wandale's knee seems like it's going to be okay, relatively minor. Get to the Eagles. I mean, Jalen Hurts. I know it didn't end up as this like massive game. He had like 24 DraftKings points, but he could have had an absolutely nuclear game. I mean, he was on pace for 300 passing yards and 100 rushing yards at one point in the second quarter. Last 16 games that Jalen Hurts has started, 9.7 carries per game and 11 rushing TDs. And now they come out throwing. I mean, they were aggressive throwing the ball from the jump, and A.J. Brown is out there dominating. I mean, that 40-1, 50-1 on Jalen Hurts MVP is certainly live with the way that they are going to play. Love Jalen Hurts. I don't see him slowing down whatsoever. On the running back, all 3 of them were used. Miles Sanders, 38 snaps. Kenny Gainwell, 23 snaps. Boston Scott, 14 snaps. But I thought Miles actually looked pretty good. He got a lot of goal line work. He converted one. He ran 19 routes. Miles looked good. So that's encouraging for those 0 RB teams that have Miles Sanders. I think that's actually really nice. What do you think of the Eagles' opening win in Detroit?
Yeah, Miles Sanders at like 5.5 yards per carry for his career. I mean, he's been hyper efficient, and he's going to stay that way as long as he stays healthy behind this offensive line in this offense. I will take 15 touches from him every day, all day. And that's what he got here. 13 carries, 2 receptions. I feel good about Goddard too. I know he only got 4 targets, but he's a really, really good player. Yeah. And Devontae Smith was the guy who was really disappointing, but there's going to be an odd man out, probably on a weekly basis here. They've got a lot of weapons. I mean, they've got 3 backs that they play. A.J. Brown is an alpha. Goddard's going to get the ball. Some guys are going to get ignored every now and again.
Yeah, the Devontae Smith thing was concerning. I certainly would not give up on Devontae Smith by any stretch of the imagination. Usage was still fine. He didn't catch any balls on his 4 targets when Hurts came out kind of cold. But yeah, I drafted a ton of Devontae Smith in round 8 or so, and played a ton of Devontae Smith in tournaments this past weekend. And it was painful for sure. I agree with Evan that it's going to be a bit cyclical, but A.J. Brown is just so good. I mean, he's clearly the alpha. Seattle, what a win for the Seahawks in the revenge game. What a win on Monday night. Geno, I've said that I think Geno is actually like a good backup in the NFL. He's not a starting NFL quarterback, but he's not as bad as like people make him out to be. He's a good backup. He was 23 of 28. Now, only 195 yards on 23 completions. That is really bad. And that also counts the busted play on the Will Dustley touchdown. By the way, Will Dustley only ran 14 routes in this game. I wouldn't go chasing that. But yeah, I thought it was at least a competent offense, not a good offense. Certainly sputtered out a bit in the second half. So kind of as expected for the Seahawks for me. What do you see out of their win over the Broncos?
Yeah, a lot of tight end usage. All 3 tight ends played. Will Dissly was the number 1 tight end. I thought Penny looked good when he got the ball, Rashad Penny, but Kenneth Walker, it looks like he's going to be coming back this week. So I think it's going to be an even rotation between them, and Travis Homer will play a little bit. I don't know. It's just, it's a fantasy unfriendly offense, and I think it's going to be that way all year. It was cool to see Geno get the win, and walk up, and the fans were all cheering his name and all that. But I mean, it's not going to be a fun offense to invest in.
Agreed. Yeah. I mean, I'm trying not to get heavy on Seahawks where I can't, even though they're so cheap so often. San Francisco, big news out of San Francisco, of course, they lost the game, but A, Trey Lance struggles, and B, Eli Mitchell is now out for the next 2 months. Eli Mitchell can't seem to stay healthy. Now, the backfield going forward, it looks like it's going to be Jeff Wilson as the feature back, and then Jordan Mason, who was active ahead of TDP, Tyron Davis-Price in week 1. It'll be Jordan Mason versus TDP for the backup role. I'm real careful about making assumptions about what Kyle Shanahan's going to do at the running back spot in any given game. Obviously, Debo can project for 6, 7, 8, 9 carries, and I think Jeff Wilson will get most of the rest. But, that's certainly fragile. How do you think the 49ers are going to play it, and how much would you spend in waivers on a guy like Jeff Wilson?
That's a good question. I haven't gotten that far yet.
Yeah, there is a waiver wire column up, by the way. You guys who are subscribers have access to it, or DraftKit people, DraftKit Pro people have access to it as well, where Ryan Reynolds breaks down everything on the Jeff Wilson San Francisco situation. But yeah, go ahead, Evan.
Yeah, and Ryan Reynolds, this is his 4th year doing it, so he's got a lot of skins on the wall at this point. I mean, so that's a column that I never miss, and everyone should be reading that. Yeah, I gotta get my waiver stuff straight right now that I think I have a bunch of FFPC teams where we're definitely going to be looking at the RBs. Jeff Wilson, we talked about it actually on Sunday morning. Pick him up because he was the clear number 2. So hopefully a lot of people were able to capitalize on that before the Eli Mitchell thing happened, which the dude is just not built like to handle like massive workloads. A smaller back out of Louisiana Lafayette, missed 6 games last year. Jordan Mason was active over TDP on Sunday, but only played on special teams. It's possible that they view TDP as a superior runner to Jordan Mason, although word out of camp was that Jordan Mason was the best back in camp. So I'm with you. I don't know what's going to happen there behind Jeff Wilson, but I do think that Jeff Wilson is going to be the number 1 in the absence of Eli Mitchell, or at least that he's going to get the first crack, and then Debo Samuel's going to benefit with more rushing attempts. Again, this Bears 49ers game was played in a monsoon, but man, I think that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to get in there.
Yeah,
at some point this year. Trey Lance was just non-functional in this game, and he has a massive windup as a thrower, and they have protection issues out the wazoo right now, especially on the interior offensive line. They were going up against not a good Bears defensive interior line, and they got their ass handed to them. So I think that there's a lot to throw away here in the Bears 49ers game because of the weather. However, I don't know how long Kyle's going to have in terms of the leash for Trey Lance. Like, he's going to get impatient. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is like 31-14 or something as the 49ers starter. Like, they know they can win with this dude. They know that they can execute the offense with him. And it's still a question mark with Trey Lance. He was horrible in this game. I was surprised. Ben Solak, who does a great job analyzing players and all that, great film breakdowns. I was surprised that he kind of defended Trey Lance because Trey Lance was extremely inaccurate in this game. And again, I understand the weather, but he was horrible. He was a major liability. And when they got down 19-10, it was like, no way they're coming back because they can't throw their way out of, they can't throw their way out of deficits.
I'm concerned on Trey Lance also, man. And this is from someone who was drafting a decent amount of Trey Lance when I missed on the Hurts and Kyler tier in like round 6/round 7. I was taking a lot of Trey Lance in round 8 and round 9. And I'm worried in season long rosters, I would be carrying another quarterback behind Trey Lance right now that you like. I think it's prudent to do so. That said, they have a home game against Seattle next. And like, if Trey Lance can't get right in a home game against Seattle, then it'll be full blown panic. On the running back situation, I actually think that TDP is the guy. Like, if I get TDP for $1, I would do so. I think that that's sharp. If you really need running back, I think spending a lot on Jeff Wilson is okay. But again, you can go to Ryan's column for more on that. The Debo fade that I have, I still feel good about. He ran in another touchdown off a rush, and he's going to get more rushing here. But yeah, I mean, with what's going on right now with San Francisco and their pass game and Trey Lance, like, feel pretty good about the Debo fade still. Tampa. I mean, why? Why rush Chris Godwin back? It is not in the interest. It's not in the interest of the player. It's not in the interest of the team. They're going to be in the playoffs. I mean, they're a good team. They're going to be in the playoffs. Why have Chris Godwin play week 1? He didn't hurt his knee at least, but there's compensation issues. Maybe he was compensating. That's why he pulled his hamstring. Happens all the time. Going forward, though, I think it's good news for Julio Jones. And I thought Julio Jones looked really, really good. Julio Jones ran 22 routes, only one behind Mike Evans for the team lead. Russell Gage was in there for 18. So I thought Julio looked good, man. And if Julio's on waivers, I would certainly pick him up. If he is, what do you think of the Bucs and how it goes forward without Chris Godwin?
Yeah, I thought Julio looked great. I mean, and I think that the Bucs agree that he looked great because they were like giving him rushing attempts.
Yeah.
Like they were like getting the ball to Julio Jones proactively. So yeah, I feel really good about that. Rashad White, what happened at the end of the game where Leonard Fournette,
he hobbled off.
Yeah.
And then I should note that Keyshawn Vaughn was a healthy scratch for this game, and Gio Bernard played 0 offensive snaps. So Lenny hobbled off. Seems like he's fine, but we're watching it. But it was really encouraging that Rashad White was the only back to play.
Yeah, that'll be something to watch on Wednesday's injury report. Rashad White, like that's a dude that everyone needs to be stashing.
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah, they play at New Orleans this week in an important NFC South game. Washington football team. Last one we're going to do here today on the NFC. And so I talked about a bunch in the solo pod. You can go back and listen to the solo pod if you want to hear it. But we knew that Jahan Dotson was going to play every snap because we actually followed the preseason. And all these haters and losers that hate on preseason, they were like, how could you play Jahan Dotson? We knew Jahan Dotson was going to play every snap. And he did. What we maybe should have been more prepared for, which we weren't, was this Curtis Samuel featured role. And Curtis Samuel's a player, man. He's just been so hurt. I still think Curtis Samuel can play. Former first-round pick. Knows Ron Rivera, brought him from Carolina to Washington. He just has not been able to stay healthy. He's healthy now. He played almost every snap also. And they were like actively scheming the ball to Curtis Samuel. So I thought that was encouraging there. What do you think of Washington football team's performance? And by the way, all this stuff to Samuel and Dotson playing well is not great for Terry McLaurin, I think, in the long run. But anyways, go ahead on Washington.
Yeah, I'm staying optimistic that McLaurin is going to be, like a wide receiver 2 with upside. But I hear you on that. I mean, they got the ball to a lot of different guys in this game. I mean, they had a lot of dudes involved here. I was very upbeat about Antonio Gibson. I mean, Antonio Gibson played really well in this game. They used him heavily in the passing game. Are you going to bend the knee and capitulate or?
Yes, I was wrong. I thought that other backs and players on the Commanders would play more. Antonio Gibson's usage was absolutely awesome. Antonio Gibson handled 82% of the running back carries and had a 19.5 target share. And it wasn't even like little dump offs. He was catching the ball like deep down the field. Was Antonio Gibson super valuable? So yeah, I mean, he won't get home against Jacksonville every week, but for now, I'll say I was wrong on Antonio Gibson. I will capitulate for now.
Yeah, I didn't want to be the only one on this show capitulating.
By the way, Logan Thomas came back. I didn't think he'd be back in week 1. He had such a severe knee injury, but he did, and that's at least worth monitoring, as if he gets that every down role. It's pretty valuable for sure. Okay, that is going to do it for the first NFC team-by-team recaps of the 2022 NFL season. We'll be back next time for the AFC team-by-team podcast. Be sure you are subscribed. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're listening on anywhere podcasts are found, be sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of these podcasts going forward. Helps us to keep them free. For Evan, for producer Jackson and producer Luke, I am Adam. Good luck, everybody.